by invoking the blessings of Almighty, the first meeting is hereby called to order. May I now request Sergeant at Arms Lieutenant Manohar to accompany the Chief Guest to the dais, please. Silent invocation. Thank you. Respected Pujya Sri Swamini Vimalananda, Swamini from Mumbai, distinguished guests from Chinmaya Mission, respected elders of Rotary Club, dear fellow Rotarians, friends and guests. Good evening to one and all. I have great pleasure in welcoming you all to this first meeting of the year, and we have a very eminent, learned Swamini with us to address and bless us for the rest of the year. Swamini, when we approached Swamini, she has readily consented, and we sincerely thank you for accepting our invitation and to be with us to bless on this occasion. In fact, Swamini is a very learned and well-educated person, and she is taking care of the education of Chinmaya Mission. And when we have the introduction of Swamini, we will be hearing more about it. Before starting this meeting, our senior Rotarian Jagannathan sir was mentioning that Swami Chinmayananda visited our club and addressed us 35 years back, the same hall. And we are really fortunate to have Swami Chinmaya's disciplined Swamini to be with us and address us on this evening. Friends, we have a very good installation. It was well attended and it was well responded. I once again thank all Rotarians for making it as a very interesting evening. We also had on the 1st of July, we started the year with a blood donation camp at CMS College. At this point in time, I would like to place our sincere appreciation and thanks to Rotarian Arul for coordinating on this blood donation camp. We also had an Annadanam at Singanallur on the same day. About the future meetings, we will be next week AGM. We are going to have our AGM on 24th of this month, and the notices have already been sent. We have formed a heritage group headed by Rotarian Harish Wagadia, which will carry on heritage tours, and the first tour will be to Tirupati on 29th of this month. And about 17 Rotarians have registered, and I request those who are interested to please register your name with Rotarian Harish or Secretary Rotarian Swami. On 31st of this month, we are going to have our first meeting on As They Evolve Entrepreneurial Journey, and the chief guest will be Mr. Jairam Bharadwaj of LG Equipments. It's more on entrepreneurial development and skill development on the same. Our club, Rotary Club of Coimbatore, is going to be the lead club for conducting the prestigious TRF seminar, which is scheduled on August 2nd at Hotel Taj. I request participation from all the members. With this, I may request Rotarian Swaminathan to present his report, please.
Good evening, Rotarians. Thank you for the opportunity given to me. With regard to this new Rotary year, we have started in a very good way. On 1st of this month, that is the first of this Rotary year, there was a camp, blood donation camp, conducted at Coimbatore Medical College Hospital with the local people at Ganapati. The venue was CMC College of Science and Commerce. About 160 students were screened and 60 units of blood has been donated. So in this whole thing, our own Rotarian Community Service Chairman have done the excellent job. And in continuation of that, we had one more program. It's called Annapurna Day. This year, our district governor has termed 1st July as Annapurna Day, and he has requested the entire district clubs to donate food for the needy people. So in that line, we have chosen Cornerstone Trust, which has about 30 children's inmates who are staying there and doing their schooling. So we provided lunch. Our senior Rotarians along with the president all were there on that day. At this point, I just thank our president who has sponsored that lunch on the day for the entire inmates. Thank you, sir. And in continuation of that, again we had our board meeting, first board meeting at Hotel Aft to discuss the following month programs and other activities. And on 3rd of July, our own Rotarian Mr. Seal Narayanan, his son, and Gokul Narayan, who was the youth exchange student to France, he has shared his experience. Also, our Rotarian Ravi, Annette Lakshmi Ravi, who is also topper in academics, and she spoke how she performed so well in those lines. And on 10th of July, we had our fantastic installation function. More than 200 people participated, Rotarians and Annettes and the sister club presidents, secretaries, and the dinner was arranged at Cosmopolitan. So I should thank Rotarian Gurpreet, Rotarian Balakrishnan, and the other team for organizing the fantastic service at Cosmo. So everybody appreciated that. And also one more thing I wanted to add, Rotarian Guna is in Hong Kong and he exchanged our club flag with Hong Kong Rotary. So these were the incidents and meetings happened last 2 weeks. With regard to birthday anniversaries, our Rotarian Ramesh Babu Rajagopal has celebrated his birthday on 5th July. And Rotarian Joseph Raj is going to celebrate on 21st July. And Rotarian Purushottam Buradia is on 22nd July. On behalf of the club and our team, we wish them many, many happy birthday. Thank you for the opportunity.
Friends, I recognize the presence of Dr. Meera Krishnan, who is the Director of Chinmaya Organization for Rural Development, and she has won lots of awards, in national and international awards for the Seva conducted in this region. In fact, when we had been to myself and Rotarian Nanjappan been to invite Swamini was mentioning about the good work being done by the by the institutions in building toilets for the poor people, and I presented to our board, and our board has approved for construction of 2 toilets in Chinmaya Mission. Friends, from this year onwards, for every meeting, we will be spending 1 minute on spreading Rotary news. And may I now request Rotarian Padma Kumar to please come and share some thoughts on Rotary news for a minute.
Good evening, Rotarians and guests. First of all, I humbly ask our President, 1 minute is too short. We will make it 1 to 2. I will not go beyond that, or at least 1 minute will be there. On end polio, Rotary began immunizing millions of children against polio in 1970s. First in Philippines and then in other high-risk countries. In 1988, Rotary International, WHO, UNICEF, and US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention came together to launch Global Polio Eradication Initiative. We call it as GPEI. In addition to contributing more than $1 billion to the GPEI, Rotary has helped to secure over $9 billion from donor governments since the initiative began in 1988. In 2011, there were 650 cases all over the world. The two in Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. 222 polio cases were reported in 2012 and 130 in 2013. India marked its second year without polio on 13 January 2014. The type 2 wild polio virus has been totally eradicated. This November will mark 1 year without a case of type 3 virus anywhere in the world. Overall, the annual incidence of polio has decreased more than 99% since the GPEI was launched in 1988. In 2007, the Gates Foundation gave Rotary Foundation $100 million challenge grant, and in 2009 increased it to $335 million. Rotary agreed to raise $200 million in matching funds by 30th June 2012. But the Rotarians in fact raised $228.7 million towards the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Rotarian Padma Kumar, for making it 2 minutes. In fact, it is like a phrase. Please wait a minute for 5 minutes. Anyway, thank you for sharing good, valuable information. May I now request our Youth Service Director, Rotarian Chitra Manohar, to introduce the chief guest of this evening, please.
Good evening, everyone. It's truly a blessed evening for all of us gathered here today, and I take great pride in introducing Swamini Vimalananda to all of you. Chinmayananda Mission is an international spiritual organization, as we all know. It has over 250 centers in India and 75 centers abroad. Param Pujya Swami Chinmayananda Ji is the founder of this organization, and it goes with a wonderful motive, a cause of giving maximum happiness to maximum number for the maximum period of time. Really great. Swamini Vimalananda Ji is a brilliant disciple of Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda Ji. Swamijini had her early education at Mumbai and graduated with honors from the JJ College of Architecture with a B.Arch degree. She has traveled widely and has conducted many Jnana Yagnas in English, Hindi and Gujarati, and camps for children, youth and elders all over the world. Her simple style of talking has captivated the intellectual and faithful alike. She has given talks in over 2,000 schools, colleges and other institutions on various spiritual, cultural and socially relevant topics. She has also given talks on various management topics to corporate bodies and management institutions in seminars. She has attended and addressed various international conferences, and beside that she has authored many books, including the very popular one which goes as In Indian Culture, Why Do We? She is also a member of the educational cell of the Central Chinmayananda Mission Trust, which has over 80 Chinmaya Vidyalayas and colleges. She is the director of the Chinmaya Vision program, which has a holistic approach to education. She has introduced the program in over 2,500 schools and colleges in India through various seminars and workshops, and is actively involved in its implementation in all the Chinmaya educational institutions. She was awarded by the Architects Association of India in the year 1999 as an architect for achieving success in another field. The award was for her contribution to the field of education. She was a keynote speaker at the International Baccalaureate Conference in Hanoi, Vietnam in October 2006 on the topic Values and Internationalism. She is presently in charge of Chinmaya Mission, Coimbatore, and is the director of Chinmaya International Residential School. We are truly happy to have you here today, and we are all waiting to hear from you.
Over to Swamini for enlightening us and bless us.
गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Hari Om and Namaskar to all of you. I have addressed so many Rotary meetings like that all over the world that I just feel one more Rotary meeting. I heard that a lot of you are very regular attenders of Rotary meetings, and on the way coming from the ashram I was told that one person had 129% attendance, which is amazing. He not only attended his own Rotary Club meetings but also attended a lot of meetings all over the place. So therefore, is that okay? Is that clear? Better, right. So therefore, there was a time when I used to attend too many Rotary meetings, and I said, I think I should call it off. So in the last years, it's been much less, maybe 1 or 2 a year. It's come down to that. Sometimes it should be 10 per year. So I'm on familiar ground, even though I'm coming to this Rotary Club for the first time. How many of you are listening to me for the first time? All of you, wonderful. Anyone's heard me before? Okay, you do have some people who have heard me before. Wonderful. Now, I was told that I should be talking on facing the future. This was a topic given to me. Actually, in life there are actually only 2 things that we do. The first is facing life, and the other is making our life. All of us have these 2 tasks to be done from morning to night, birth to death. And what is that? First is what? Face life. We have no choice. We cannot say, I don't want to face it, but you are in the world, so we have to face life. There is no choice about facing life. Isn't it true? Very often we would wish that we could run away. But even when you run away, wherever you run away, what will you have to do? Face. Something or the other we have to face. There is no choice about facing life. Now, I give the example very often, and it's a really very striking example. See, some people just, what do you say, they just survive in life. Some people live their life. And very, very few people outlive their life. Most only just survive from day to night. They're just totally exhausted in only facing life. Is it true or not? You asked someone, how was your day? Oh, I survived. Have you heard that phrase before? I survived through this XYZ situation. So we just survive through whatever we have to go through. But there are some people who not only survive, but they really live life. And some people live it so beautifully that even long after they have gone, what? They are remembered, they inspire, they elevate, and such few people outlive life. Okay? Now what happens? You must have seen a typical gym. Nowadays gyms are very popular. So in a typical gym, you have a cycle. I love that cycle. Any of you experience that cycle? So first of all, you have to pay a lot of money to become a member of that club and that gym. And why do you go there? To become fit, trim, right? And it is interesting that all these clubs, they have air conditioning, and you are going there to sweat it. Don't you think it would be much easier if they switched off the AC? You would sweat better and faster. But no, they have to have what? Full air condition, and then you pay a lot of money to get onto that cycle. And that cycle has a speedometer, which tells you how many kilometers you have cycled, at what speed, for how long, isn't it? So at the end of it, you get this thing. You have cycled 15 kilometers at this speed, and you have covered so many miles. And interestingly, that cycle doesn't move forward 1 inch. Is it true or not? Don't you think that's funny? I think in your Rotary Club you are not used to laughing. Because one would expect. You don't have to, Life is all about having a lot of fun, and I hope you'll have a lot of fun as you come into Rotary. Yeah? So everyone is very serious. And I wonder why. Something to do with me? Please, relax. So this funny cycle is there where it doesn't move forward 1 inch. All that effort, all that sweat, all that money, and it doesn't move forward 1 inch. Many people's life is like that gym cycle. Many people live their life exactly like the gym cycle. So much of effort, time and money spent only in facing life, but they never progress, never move forward. 1 single bit. All energy is gone only in, from morning to night, what? Facing situations. And the situations may sometimes be so small and simple. Fuse went off in the house, bus finish. The fuse goes outside, here also fuse has gone, nothing more can be done. Whole day what? Fuse has gone, fuse has gone, fuse has gone. Is it true or not? Small little things, someone said something, someone looked at me like that, someone did not smile, or someone smiled too much. For whatever reason, all these little things that come in our life, and all our time, energy is only spent in all that, how to face it. And many times, even in the process of facing this, we, what? Get completely disheartened, dejected, disappointed, and nothing happens. We don't progress. Agreed? Take an ordinary cycle. When you're sitting on an ordinary cycle, you, what? Pedal. So the wheel does go round, all energy goes in pushing it and all that, but in the process it also moves what? Forward. It goes round and round, but it also moves forward. And the racer cycle is interesting. The racer cycle, you just pedal a little and it shoots forward. Some people's life is like a racer cycle. They also have to face life. It's not that they don't have to face life. They face life, but in that situation itself becomes a propeller for them to what? Shoot forward and progress at such a fast rate, and you wonder, my God, how did it happen? So think for yourself, which category do you belong to? Which one? No progress? Or as we move forward, as we have... Now, it is not that in life, first you face life and then you make your life. First 25 years I will what? Face life. And afterwards I will start what? Making my life, I will progress in life. No. It is only in the process of facing life that we have to what? Progress in life. There is no separate incidents in life which have come for making our life a progress in life. What comes to you, my Guru, Swami Chinmayananda Ji, I am so happy to hear that he has come here and addressed this Rotary also. He would say it very beautifully. He says, wise people make their house with the bricks that others throw at them. What? Wise people make their house with the... Otherwise we always complain, someone is saying bad about me, someone is saying, okay, very good, free of charge, you are giving me bricks, thank you very much. I am happy about it. Give me, I'll use the same ones to make my life beautiful. Have you understood that? The life may give you brickbats, life may give you challenges, life may give you unsurmountable or difficult situations. What you do with them is very, very important. I always have this example of that lady, very brave lady, Sudha Chandran, a dancer. And what happened? A dancer losing her legs. My God, what greater tragedy can there be? Anyone else in her place, what would they have said? They will sit and cry and want pity from everyone and say, why me? What happened? Of all the things God is doing like that to me, my career is gone, I am nothing, I cannot do anything. And all their life they would have sat back weeping, and isn't it true? What did she say? Nothing, I will wear artificial legs and I will dance away to glory. And she did, happily. Such people are the ones who in the process of facing life, what? Make their... There are many, many examples like that. Why I am saying this is that as individuals we can go like that, but even as a country we can go like that. And this is a very, very important thing for all of us. As a society we can progress like that. As we face the challenges, we have to progress. Singapore, classic example. If you know the story of Singapore, it was under colonial rule and it was part of Malaysia. Okay, it was connected to mainland Malaysia, it was part of Malaysia, it belonged to that country. After the World War II, they got freedom. And all the leaders of Malaysia, including someone from Lee Kuan Yew, very, very famous man, you may have heard his name, they were all sitting together. And they took the help of the Chinese and the Russians, the communists basically, to get their freedom from colonization. So, the Malaysians, all the people who were sitting over there, they decided in this very, very important meeting that they would join or they would adopt communism as a way of governance. Lee Kuan Yew objected to that and said, I don't think we took the help of these people to get our freedom from colonization, but to take on, adopt communism is not a good... Can you imagine at that point in history after World War II, he realized communism has no future. What a foresight. He said, we should not adopt communism, it's a wrong policy, let us not go in, we will take up capitalism, it will be good for our country, and let us progress through capitalism. The leaders, the rest of the leaders, all of them disagreed completely, and to that extent that they told him that you take your little Singapore and get out of Malaysia. Now imagine this situation. It is like today, if you say Andaman is out of India, it has no legs to stand on. Is it true or not? It's got nothing of its own. It can't survive if it has to stand on its own. It completely depends on mainland India. This was exactly the position of what? Singapore at that point of time. Then what happened? Lee Kuan Yew went on his knees, sobbing like a child in front of everyone, and he begged them. With folded hands, he says, begged them and said, please don't do that. We cannot survive. We are part of you. You can't tell your child to go away. Don't do this to us. Read his biography, you will know all these things. Read the history of Singapore. I'm not saying anything which is not already recorded. When he said that, they said, we don't want you. You take your little Singapore and get out. He came back. It was a fishing island. Dirty. No progress. They didn't even have fresh water to drink from. That was the sad state of that place at that time. Now he knows he has to do something for this. He had a foresight. Here was a challenge. He thought that this strategic position of Singapore would make it an ideal free port. And in that area, besides Hong Kong, there was no international banking center really. And it was better placed even than Hong Kong. The position of Singapore was so beautiful that way, so he said, this is what I should make it. But no foreign power is going to come to Singapore if they see this what? Horrible infrastructure. We have zero infrastructure. We don't have anything. And therefore, all that time, money and effort, this one man's vision and the rest of the people's effort was put into what? Making one of the best infrastructure. I don't know how many of you have been to Singapore. You have been to Singapore, you know what a classic. And it was the place for all trade and banking and everything that happened till Dubai came into the picture. Is it true or not? Can you imagine the thinking? What a challenge to face. We have become free for the past so many 60 years and all, right? And that country in a matter of a few years. It's the racer cycle that we are talking about. You understand? The racer cycle. In a matter of few years, it became an internationally, what? Famous place for trade. And even now, if you go there, amazing way it works. Are you with me? And they face challenge. Challenges are there to everyone. No one has the right to sit down and complain, what can we do, now everything is gone, now we can't do anything and we are nowhere and now is a... And that's what we do all the time, isn't it? In our country we used to have it was a national hobby to what? Crave and complain and we are hopeless and the government is like that and that is like that and this cannot happen and this is, and everything is, we are in a democracy, we are not in a dictatorship. We could have changed the government long back, right or wrong? And in Tamil Nadu we still don't do anything about it. We just keep on having all one by no one has the will to do. And if I don't have the will to do, we don't have the will to do, what's going to happen? Facing life we have to do. There is no choice about facing life. Challenges are going to come. The worst things that you can ever think of can happen. Our greatness lies in what? Facing life and what? Making something out of it. That same thing that happens. It's not some separate thing that you have to get to progress in life. The same thing, what comes to you itself, you have to use to what? Go ahead in life. Nothing special is going to happen to us. And I tell you, there are some people, there are 3 different types of people in the world. One type when they think of all the obstacles and the challenge that they will get, don't even start doing anything. Is it true or not? They imagine, ye ho sakta hai, that can happen, this will happen, what if this happens, then better not to. Nowadays a lot of ladies are telling me that I don't want to get married. What if it becomes a problem? So even thinking of all the problems that could come, they are saying I don't want to get married. I don't know how this is going to work, because a lot of ladies nowadays, girls, are saying we don't want to get married. But no boy is saying I don't want to get married. How this will work, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. But a lot of girls, lots and lots of girls, I mean, you can't imagine the number of girls saying I don't want to get married. Why? They are imagining all sorts of problems that could happen. This is all my friends, I look around and so many problems are there. It could happen. So many people in life, even imagining or thinking of the problems that could come, the challenges that could come, they don't even want to start doing anything. There are some people who embark on a project or doing something, and when the problems come, they quit. Many of them like that. The challenges come, something will, this is very difficult, no, this I can't do, this is not for me, this I cannot do, this is not, and they quit. But there are some, the more and more challenges they get, the more and more enthused they are in doing something, and if there is no challenge, they say, why, what happened? Something is wrong. Why? Nothing, no one is opposing me, what happened to everyone? Are you understanding? Whereas some people always say, everyone is opposing me, everyone is looking at this, and everyone is pulling me down, and everyone is pushing me. No. There are some people. See, if someone is pulling you down itself, what does it mean? If someone is pulling you, that you have gone up a little bit, is it true or not? Then only they can pull you down. If you are right on the ground, where else can you go? They can only dig a hole and push you in. You understand? No one can pull you down. So therefore, if someone pulls us down, we should not be saying, oh, I know, that itself shows I am what? Going up. I always remember this wonderful girl, when I talked to her, and I'm saying, many people get into this mood of why me? Why me of all the people? Why me? Why this had to happen to me? Why me? Why me? And this girl was amazing. And I told her, whenever you have a question like why me, always say why not me. She said, no, Swamiji, I say it a different way. Whenever I get this question, why me? I say, God dare me. What? What do I say? Dare me. Not why me, but dare me. What a bold way. Okay, if there's a challenge, okay, fine. So, I'm going to face it. So, the first thing about facing the future is, first of all, we must have the ability to face life. Is it okay? In a very, very positive way, not in the complaining, okay, I'm facing life, what to do, I have to face life, so what to do, I have to face life. There are many people who do what to do, no other choice, I have to face, so I am facing, no other choice is there, and the complaining and cursing, they go through life. It doesn't get them anywhere, they don't progress. Okay? Ask anyone in the whole wide world. Anyone who has come on the top, anyone who has become great, has had hundreds of challenges. Is it true or not? The higher they have gone, the greater the challenges they have faced. No one in the world has ever. People have become great in life not because of circumstances. Everyone who has ever become great in life has become great in spite of circumstances. Is it true or not? Yes? Anyone, you check out the story of any great person, they have become great what? What? Because of circumstances or in spite of circumstances? It's always in spite. Because in the process of facing life, they have what? Progressed. Made themselves into really great people. Now, a little different. We talk about facing the future. I don't know whether you all have heard of a book which is quite famous quite a few years back called Future Shock. Have you heard of that book? It was written by a person called Alvin Toffler. No? Some of you are nodding, yeah. It's called Future Shock. The author is Alvin Toffler. And a very interesting book which says that in the world there's lots of changes. Change is a part of life. Everything changes. So the changes that are happening, that used to happen maybe even 100 years back, what happened? The rate of change in the present is so much faster. And do you agree with me? Because in the good old days, let's say you had a TV, so that TV stayed for a long, long time. But from the time that the TV came into a computer, and from the time the computer went into a laptop, and from that laptop went into a what? A phone, and then from a phone to a smartphone. The time is much, and you by the time you buy your what mobile, already so many things have changed. Is it true or not? By the time you get to learn one set of your, the apps that you have used, the whole thing has changed. And this is all old-fashioned. This is not to be used, and this doesn't apply anymore. The rate of change is very fast outside. Do you agree with me? Values have changed so much faster. So many things are happening. It is not that things have not changed before. Things have always changed. Change has been a part of every life all over the world from centuries. But the rate of change has been so fast, and human psychology has not changed as fast as the changing circumstances outside. Right now also we think how our ancestors 500,000 years back thought. And therefore what we get is what is described over there as future shock. What is described? Very interesting. The psychologically you have not changed. See, everything in the world now throw away. Everything is throw away, throw away, throw away, right? So relations also have become what? Throw away relations. Now, interestingly, the relations are breaking at the same speed as your, nowadays when the mobile gets spoiled, do you go to a repair shop to repair it? No. What do? You trash it. Is it true or not? And that's exactly what people are doing with their relations. Now things have become bad. So what do? Trash it. Isn't it true? They are saying that, they are probably doing that, but psychologically it is a pain to accept all these things. Therefore, so many traumas are happening in the lives of people. They go through what is called future shock. Are you understanding? Now comes the question of facing what? The future. Now, how would you face a future where we don't even know what the future is going to be 50 years from now? What drastic changes. That's why some educationists, because I'm involved in the field of education, I can talk about it also, we think about it at that time also. A lot of times people have been really concerned. See, we, especially in India, I don't know when we are ever going to change, our methods of teaching have remained age-old. The world has changed, people have changed, everything has changed in so drastic a manner, and we are now still preparing our children with age-old knowledge, which will absolutely, what? Is it true or not? We don't even know that 20 years from now, what type of instruments are going to be there, what type of technology is going to be, and we have to prepare our children for a future where we don't even know what is going to be. See, 50 years back when we were in schools and all, what happened? They knew exactly, so they taught this, all subjects in a typical way what they have been teaching for the past 100, 200 years. Yes or no? Now any teacher who wants to teach that method and that way, and that is what exactly is happening in all schools, right? The same old method, the same old way, the same chalk and talk method, every teacher is adopting in all the time, right? And they are talking to children who are already in a different age. 2-year-old children, tuck, they do. And the teacher doesn't even have an email ID. I'm telling you, this is a fact of the present time. I'm not just saying it. I know I'm involved in education in a big way. The teacher is of this some century, God knows what. And you have children who are like that, and you have to prepare them for what? Are you understanding? So, how are you going to face a future which you don't even know about? How are you going to prepare yourself to face a future you have absolutely no idea about? And I'm talking to you about every field. There was a time, business is going to change drastically. You already know how different things are now from what it was 20 years back. Do you agree? New type of businesses that you can't even imagine are going to come into existence. And all businesses which you had, which were time tested and so many years and centuries they went on, will just go out in no time at all. Outsourcing is happening in such a way. Now look at the way you all celebrated your birthdays, and look at the way your own grandchildren are celebrating birthdays. What did you do when you had a birthday? First of all, you didn't celebrate it. Is it true or not? Simple as that. And now, even marriages are being outsourced. Isn't it true? There's an event manager who goes and does everything, and you go like a guest to your own wedding, right? They tell you stand here, don't stand here, you sit here, you sit down here, don't get up till I tell you this. And what? Is it happening or not? Think of it, everything, even the way, the conducting of this, everything possible is changing. Now your children, how do they celebrate their birthdays? Not what you did. First of all, you didn't celebrate. Then the way they celebrate, they have a theme birthday. And here, what I'm trying to tell you is that we, not understanding how things are changing, we are not even, how are we going to face something even the present we have not accepted, then what about got my point? So the only way, and a beautiful way, and this is the Vedantic way, this is the way that our scriptures tell us of how you could ever face a future, is to learn how to be in the present, in full acceptance of the present. What? Most of us are not even in the acceptance of the present, is what I'm trying to tell you. Yes? Traditions are fantastic. It's important to maintain traditions. Traditions are good, but you should look at them and see whether they actually apply and they have relevance in the present. And if they have, to fully, this not to maintain a tradition for the sake of maintaining a tradition, to be able to adapt the same traditions without losing its essence, without losing its core and relevance, to adapt it to the time, because the future is changing. Otherwise, you and I will remain with our traditions and the world will walk right ahead, leaving us somewhere far away. You understanding? Yes? I would call myself a traditional person, but I would still call myself a non-traditional person. For the simple reason, traditions are important, but if they have no relevance, they are not important. Full stop. So how do I face the future?